we first started talking about what we wanted to do for our service learning project, we first started talking about working with skilled nursing facilities, especially during COVID-19, because residents are going through a lot with reduction of their ability to interact with other people. So they're experiencing reduction in quality of life, and a reduction in functional mobility and just activity levels in general. So we initially wanted to put on a casino day, because that's something that's been done in the past to really positive feedback. And so with that idea, we went and talked to Beth Casey, who is an administrator at Woodland Ridge Assisted Living and Memory Care. So she unfortunately told us that we couldn't do something that social because of the current restrictions placed on residents. And what she recommended that we do instead was to provide an exercise video that could be used by caregivers in the facility to provide an exercise program to the residents currently living there. So we know that inactivity leads to significant reductions in the ability to function from a strength perspective and from a mental perspective. And then we also know that inactivity can result in reductions in safety during functional movements and ambulation. And then those reductions lead to further inactivity, which leads to further deficits, and that can create a really unfortunate spiral that leads to further complications such as serious falls, cardiopulmonary events, and death. So we believe an exercise program can benefit current residents in terms of halting that spiral of negative outcomes, as demonstrated by objective outcome measures that display improvements in functional strength and reduction in fall risk. So our ability to assess the Woodland Ridge facility was limited because we could not see it in person due to COVID-19. So our understanding of it was based on discussions we had with Beth, which allowed us to understand how we can serve our residents better. So she stated again specifically that we should perform an exercise program that helps display exercises to caregivers and residents that can reduce their risk of falling and improve their ability to ambulate or just perform functional mobility in general. So then we discussed that we should have outcome measures that measured function prior to and after the exercise program was implemented. She gave us a good understanding of what we could expect from caregivers as far as implementing the program, and then also the limitations that patients or residents will have from a perspective of mental function and physical function. After our discussion with Beth, we did our own research, which found that approximately 30% of community dwelling individuals for 65 years and older, and then 50% of those 85 years and older will fall. And of those who fall, about 12 to 42% will have a fall-related injury. So with that, preventing falls became our main objective as far as what we wish to produce with this exercise program. So research then showed that the activity balance confidence scale can predict fall risk to a certain degree, and then exercise that focuses on strength building, then functional exercise, and then balance training can directly combat fall risk.
Well, we wanted to work with the residents at Woodland Ridge because we felt like the elderly population tend to get forgotten by society, especially if they end up in an assisted living facility. So we wanted to give the residents here a source of fun that can also be beneficial for them. At first, we had an idea where we can host a casino night at the facility. This event can help us get to know the residents on a personal level, and we can give the residents a fun time, get them laughing, stuff like that. However, that plan ended up falling through, but it was fine because we thought of a better idea to help the residents, and that was developing a fall prevention program. We were going to go to the facility and conduct the group exercise sessions by instructing a variety of exercises that have proven to help reduce fall risk for the elderly. But because of COVID, meeting in person was not an option anymore. So the next best thing we came up with was create an instruction video of the exercises to send to the facility, and they would perform the exercises along with the video. This was not ideal because it would have really helped if we were actually there, but it was the best thing we can come up with considering the situation. We thought of doing the fall prevention program because in general, as people get older, they have increased risks of falls and injuring themselves. We wanted to try to make a difference for them and help the residents reduce their risk of falls through exercises that would help improve their strength, balance, coordination, and confidence. For our fall prevention program, we wanted the residents to achieve a lot. We wanted the residents to have fun and enjoy our program, but also improve themselves and their conditions. Specifically, we wanted the participants to have increased awareness about fall prevention, increased confidence in themselves, increased mobility and function, and increased balance and coordination.
In order to implement our exercise program, we have provided the caregivers of Woodland Ridge with both the exercise videos that we created and 2 outcome measures that we hope that they'll apply both before and after patients actually go through the exercise program. So the first of those 2 outcome measures is the Activities Balance Confidence Scale, and that is correlated with fall risk. It was capable of predicting falls within the next year with a cutoff score of 67 out of 100 at 84.5% sensitivity rate and an 87.5 specificity rate. The second outcome measure is the Lower Extremity Functional Scale, and that's intended to measure improvements in functional mobility in the patients that we provide this exercise program to. So the exercise program is then consists of 9 different exercises, each of which will be performed 2 to 3 times per week for 4 to 6 weeks, after which the caregivers will reapply the outcome measures to measure improvements in fall risk and confidence in not falling, as well as functional strength.
So moving on to implementation. We initially submitted a draft of our video to Beth, who was our point of contact over at Woodland Ridge. She made a few suggestions for the video, such as putting a note in to allow flexibility for the rep and set schedule, say if a patient could not perform. So we went ahead and added those in and sent her a second copy. From there, Beth and another staff member named Catherine played her a video on one of the big TVs in the lobby. This was for a couple of the individuals' exercise program. These individuals were a little more cognitively there compared to some of the other residents of Woodland Ridge, so they're the ones partaking. In the video, we explained the general format for sets, repetitions, and a focus on safety. We demonstrated how to utilize a gait belt and noted to take sufficient rest breaks throughout the video. For the fall prevention exercises, we chose a concise list of 6 different ones. These are sit to stands, static balance, standing marches, standing hip abduction and extension, calf raises, and balance while stepping. Everyone was instructed to fill out outcome measures before starting our program and then perform these exercises twice a week for 7 weeks total. We stayed in contact with Beth just in case she needed anything, as well as to communicate results and get final outcome measures. Falls among the elderly are a real-world problem, and our project directly addresses this issue. Here are some facts from the CDC website in regards to older individuals and falls. Over 3 million older people are treated in the emergency department for fall injuries each year. Over 800,000 patients are hospitalized because of a fall injury, most often because of a head or hip fracture. Each year, 300,000 older people are hospitalized for hip fractures, and 95% of hip fractures are caused by falling. So next, who is more likely to fall? Individuals with lower body weakness, vitamin D deficiency, difficulties with walking and balance, polypharmacy, vision problems, and those with foot pain. The elderly population has higher incidence rates of all of these, and that's what we aim to address.
I think that the Georgia State University Physical Therapy program did an incredible job of preparing us for this type of service learning project in a multitude of ways. First and foremost, I think that Georgia State's focus on service learning has really implemented a deep value of service into all the physical therapy students, and I think that it's going to make all of us much better physical therapists in the long run and much better people. I think that we've all, began to recognize the value of service and how that can play into physical therapy, as well as what we're capable of as physical therapists in providing service. And so I think that kind of the culmination of that really helped to motivate my group and help us to find a population and a project that we would feel passionate about and feel like we were doing some good with. Second, I think that the group work and the group projects and the team-based learning and different aspects like that at Georgia State PT has really helped prepare us for a project like this, where I feel that my group was able to efficiently and effectively plan and execute and modify and kind of work together really well as a team. And I think that Georgia State PT certainly was a huge part of that, and that's going to be very important as we go about our careers. You know, any PT clinic, any hospital setting that you're in, you're going to have to work as a team, and I think that you see that kind of team-based approach carry its way into multiple facets of work and life, and so I certainly think that that helps to prepare us for this project. And thirdly, I also think that our curriculum has really helped my group, like I said, find a population that we feel is maybe underserved and needs help, and also kind of armed us with the knowledge and resources and confidence into feeling like we could provide them with something that would really help. I know we've talked a lot about, geriatrics and older adult living facilities and things like that, and we've watched multiple documentaries and real life stuff that happens within there, and we recognize a need for attention to these populations. And so I think that the focus of that also really helped us to find motivation and seek out this population that we felt would truly benefit. So Georgia State PT really helped us in multiple ways for this project, and overall I think that the culmination of everything is going to help us as PTs and as people as we go on about life. We use several formal assessment scales for our project to kind of analyze function and pertaining to balance, and also in order to measure progress. So the first one we use is the ABC scale, the Activity Specific Balance Confidence Scale. And this is a questionnaire that has been shown to have a correlation with predicting falls. And so fallers have a significantly lower score than non-fallers. And further research and literature has also shown a cutoff score of about 67%. So the ABC scale, it's on a scale of 0 to 100%. 0 would indicate no confidence. 100 would indicate complete confidence with balance activities. And so above 67% means less likely to fall. And this is shown to have a specificity and sensitivity of about 85% each. And so we implemented exercises into our video program that have been shown in the same literature to help reduce fall risk in correlation with this ABC scale by about 24 to 34%. And what we also added on to our study was the LEFS, or the lower extremity functional scale. Another patient-reported outcome measure. It's got a max score of 80 and low score of 0. So 80 would be higher functioning, 0 would be lower functioning. And the minimum clinically important difference for this scale is 9 points. And so this was good in order to tell how much progress patients made. Did they make enough progress to make a difference? Right, and so the reason we chose these two, kind of given the situation, both patient questionnaires that they were able to give feedback on without having to be in person.
So we're gonna get started. This here is the results of our exercise video project. And so to give kind of a background, there's only 6 ladies that performed the exercises, and here are the results right here. So only 1 came on the first day. 1 out of the 4 said the video did not help, and 4 said the video helped them, and 1 of which was a great success story. So we'll start out with the one that only came in on the first day. Her name was Joan T. And this quote here is from the Catherine Trice, who kind of like led the exercise sessions at Woodridge. And she said on our feedback form, she said only came to the first session. She only watched the video. At the end of the video, she said, I don't need this, and demonstrated that she could do a modern knee bends plus stepping. She refused to come after that, and despite continued invitations, just did not come. And she filled out the ABC scale, and it was a 52.5, and her lower extremity functional scale was a 34. But we couldn't get the post because she never came to anything else after that. And we'll go on to the one that said it didn't help. This is Christine H. And Catherine said about Christine always attends, but stops after a few of the exercises. She starts out fine, but then stops completely, saying that she just doesn't want to do it anymore. It's important to note that she mobilizes via wheelchair, so a lot of these exercises were done in the standing position. So it was kind of probably a lot for her. The ABC scale did improve from 11.25 to 15.62, but her LEFS decreased from 17 to 14. All right, now onto the success stories. We have 3 small success stories. Start out with Betty H. Catherine wrote that she has back problems and was only able to come 4 times. That being said, her ABC scale improved from 28.75 to 30.62, and her lower extremity functional scale improved from 24 to 26. So she improved on both outcome measures and said that it helped her, but she's only able to come a couple times. Ruby W. Catherine wrote about Ruby. Ruby exercises every day. She does the exercise she wants to do, but then stops after a few reps or doesn't do all of them. She did say to Catherine that it keeps her more mobile, and she wrote on the feedback form that she does think that it helps. Her ABC scale stayed the same at 30.6, but her LEFS improved from 17 to 21. And then the last of the small success stories was Shirley W. Catherine wrote, Miss Shirley did the program a few times. She says she prefers to walk in the hallways, and her knees get cortisone shots every 3 months, and she functions better after that. But again, Miss Shirley did say that it helped her, and the ABC scale improved from 53.75 to 55.62, and her LEFS improved slightly from 33 to 34. Now onto the great success story. This lady was named Mary W. And on her sheet that Catherine filled out, it said, I'm able to walk further than I did to start, and I have more confidence too. Her ABC scale improved from 35.6 to 38.75, and her LEFS improved from 29 to 32. And Beth Case, who was our main contact, she said, and I quote, this person, who is a great success story, was a lady who was so isolated prior to moving to our community late last year. She rarely went out of her apartment and was losing strength. Her daughter's a nurse and wanted her mom to get more active. The fact that she took to this is so good. And this is great. This is kind of exactly what we wanted from this whole project. I mean, even one success story really does mean that it was all worth it in the end. And so Mary W. did great, and it really helped her confidence and just kind of ability to really get out there. And I guess her daughter really appreciates it well, so that makes all this a lot better and really worth it. Here's kind of a quote from Catherine Trice to kind of summarize everything. She said that they plan to continue doing their balance exercises since she believes that they really do help prevent falls. She always tells her residents, you may not become a dancer, but if we can help you get better balance so you don't fall, it'll be worth it. And that's kind of like the main thing we really wanted to focus on, just trying to help reduce these fall risks, especially for the people that are so isolated. So we do think it's good to see that they also appreciate the video and they think it worked as well, because we really do think it worked as well.
We'll start the reflection by talking about how long everything took us to do. For planning, this took us about 4 hours. We researched the best practices for fall prevention, researched appropriate outcome measures, and coordinated with Woodland Ridge and Beth. Then we created our video script. From then we moved on to preparation, which took us about 6 to 8 hours each. We filmed the first video draft and sent it over to Beth, and she came back with some suggestions on how to improve. We made the changes to the video based on the suggestions and then compiled all the resources that Woodland Ridge would need to carry out the project. Then we started working on our presentation and reflection, which took us each about 6 to 8 hours. We created a script for our presentation, filmed videos, and edited them together with some sweet sound effects. Then we reflected on what went well, what didn't, and some takeaways from this experience.
Overall, I'd say this is a huge success. Going into it, we kind of all decided that if we just helped out one person, then it would kind of make everything worth it. And out of the 5 people that did the exercises, 4 said that they thought that it helped them. The biggest win for us has to be Mary W's success story. And it seems from the feedback we've gotten from Catherine and Beth that it basically helped her gain a lot more confidence and really did help kind of reduce the effects that the isolation had on her. So that being said, I really think that it was a big success for all of us.
We encountered various challenges during our project, and it was due to the pandemic. Before COVID, our original plan, like I said before, was to have a casino night at the assisted living facility. However, the plan was terminated because of the unknown virus. Then we tried to see if we can go to the facility, get time to connect with the residents there, and then instruct them on the exercises to perform in a group exercise session type of style. However, because of the COVID-19, we had to change our plans again and send an instruction video to the residents for them to perform the exercises, due to the facility not allowing any visitors to minimize the exposure to the virus. I feel like the fall prevention program went well and we tried our best, but it was difficult to try to get the residents to engage in the video since we weren't in person to instruct how to perform the exercises or even help the participants that needed extra assistance during the exercises. I believe that the residents could have improved their conditions more if we were physically there in person, guiding them through the whole way. But most of the participants still improved with the video, and they even said that they see improvements in themselves.
If we had the opportunity to redo our project for a greater success, I think we would all agree that doing it in person would yield a better result. I think this is true for several reasons. First, we could teach everything live with correct form from different angles. We would then be able to address any concerns that pop up and answer questions as soon as they're able to ask them. But most importantly, I think that being in person serves to better establish rapport with the participants. If we're able to put a face to the name, they can finally meet the random guys in a video, I think it would improve the success of the program. With that little bit of interpersonal communication, we can improve the patient buy-in and let them know that we actually care about their well-being.
I enjoyed a lot about this project. I think that if I had to really hone in on one thing that I enjoyed, it's the population that we helped to impact, especially given all the circumstances with COVID-19. Usually, as PTs and as a community, we think about all the direct implications of COVID, illnesses and deaths and everything from the disease. But also, when you think about how it impacts people indirectly, a lot of more sedentary people from being at home, and especially in the elderly population, I don't know the exact statistic on it, but probably a lot more falls and maybe even deaths associated with that. I know for me personally, my grandmother has fallen twice during COVID, and before she was active going to the gym, and it's not being able to leave home really had an impact on her. So I think the fact that we were able to come up with a program that could be implemented within the older adult living facility is a really cool thing. And I think for me, just thinking about that population that we were trying to impact, as well as seeing the feedback and getting some of the stories from the people we helped, for me, that was what I enjoyed most about it.
If someone asked me if I would recommend this project as a service learning project to an upcoming group, yeah, absolutely I would. I think exercise programs are really important in physical therapy because I think one of the main frustrating things about PT is that there's a large number of patients that will return to an inactive lifestyle after the cessation of their treatment, which will eventually cause them to re-experience symptoms. And I think starting out exercise programs like this is something that I would love to do in my own career to specifically target populations that are at risk for negative outcomes. Obviously, this would have gone better if we'd been able to administer the program ourselves, but I still think we had a positive impact regardless.